Are we ready for call
Yes, we are.
to order? Call to order. Do we have minutes to approve from last week?
Well, the minutes, our minutes now, well, from last month, our minutes are the video recorded meeting, so we don't have physically written minutes anymore per city,
Okay.
per city policy.
And then do we have an agenda today?
Yes,
Can I ask a question, Brian? You know, I'm kind of hung up on these minutes deal.
I know you are.
Here's the,
Do the other boards have, the city's done away with written minutes to review, or do the other boards have minutes? Or is it just us? This board?
Well, who did we ask that question
Denny.
to? We asked Denny that question.
same for city commission.
Yeah,
Okay, all right. If that's the way it is, that's the way it is. Okay,
that's the way it is.
all right.
Yeah, we just write the action that's taken on anything, and we're following what city commission guidelines are.
Okay.
And that's how they do their minutes as well. It's the video.
Okay, all right. I'm good. If that's the way it is, that's the way it is.
All right, so that won't be brought up again, right?
No.
Okay.
No, it won't.
No promises.
Denny, if you're still on there, so how do we officially approve how does that work from an approval point, since we don't physically have anything that, can you give us
Well,
guidance on that?
so what's written down, I believe, Denny, I'm sorry, is any action that's taken, right? So once we start voting on articles, those will be written down, right? So here,
Yes.
the action was that we approved the minutes. from
Okay,
last
I got
meeting,
it. There it
right?
is. Okay, I'm with you. Thank
So,
you.
and then it lists the regular agenda
I'm
items.
with you. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
All right, so Sarah Jane, with that being noted,
I'll share my screen once we're ready.
I think we will approve the minutes as noted.
I move we approve last meeting's minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
All right. Minutes are approved. I put a message on there. Can you post the agenda? I don't think the whole agenda came out. I think it was just the list of all the different chapters. That way we could go through them in the right order.
Yeah, here, I'll share my screen.
Why keep looking at that? You can't see.
Can you see that, everybody online?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we can talk about going to every 3 weeks. Based on the amount of information and the amount of discussion. If we want to get through this, we probably need a few extra meetings. Is anybody opposed to going to every 3 weeks?
Yeah, I would just like to comment on the city side. Matt and I talked about this and we feel meeting, twice every 6 weeks versus twice every 8 weeks gets us where we probably need to get, and gives us a little bit more leg room for obstacles and so forth and delays. So that would be city staff's recommendation that we try to adhere to it every 3 week here on out. Now, because you know what will happen during the holiday season, it might be tough to get everyone together. So in anticipation is that as well. So we're sort of forecasting down the road that we think probably need to get together a little bit more often than once a month.
Is there any other discussion?
I think so.
Doesn't appear to be, Sergey.
I'd like to avoid trying to send a meeting poll for all of these. So if there is, and we don't need to talk about it today necessarily, but if there's a day that works better for people, that could be advantageous. And then I'll just roll out a bunch of meetings. And if we got to fine tune it as we get to it, that's fine. But I don't like sending those any more than you like receiving them. If that's
getting people to vote on them.
Yeah, so. I can take that offline though. We don't,
It might be a good idea to talk about like 2 days. I mean, I assume nail down the morning versus afternoon. I assume more mid-afternoon, late afternoon would be better for everyone.
this time seems to be what we've landed on.
Yeah, and then maybe give us a day or two that
About-
works, yeah, something like that. We can
Three.
work on that.
3 p.m.-ish. But I can reach out so we can discuss specifically NEC stuff today. I can do that separately.
Sarah Jane, I also think we probably need to speak, it just came to me, we probably need to discuss maybe moving it to an hour and a half. An hour is a very short period of time. I know we went over easily an hour and a half. I'd rather give everyone an hour and a half notice that that's the time of the meeting than ask everyone to go long on a consistent basis. So my recommendation would move these to an hour and a half to make sure we have adequate time each time we meet. If we end up kind of short, then that's just benefit to everyone.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to move these to 4 times. Or more times than we're doing now.
Once every
times.
3 weeks?
Yeah, once every 3 weeks, yeah. I figure out what I'm talking about first.
For an hour and a half.
And
90 minutes each. Yeah.
Okay,
for discussion, would it be helpful, Matt, to have Tuesdays and Thursday afternoons open as you schedule these tentatively?
Yeah, and I would say I'll shoot for 3 to 4:30 as a starting point, so we don't have to inquire every time. Tuesday and Thursday, you said, Sarah Jane?
That seems to be when we keep having these meetings, so it makes sense.
We can certainly accommodate that. It's, we'll work with your guys' schedule, and I agree, that's how it kind of has shaken out, Sarah Jane, so.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right.
Great. So Matt will work on every 3-week schedule and look at Tuesday or Thursdays from a 3 to 4:30-ish schedule. I appreciate everyone being flexible with that and looking at our needs. So I do appreciate that sincerely.
As far as the agenda item number 2, do you want to explain what you've got for the Board of Appeals expectations?
You want to go on that?
No,
Okay, I'll take it. I just want to briefly reiterate that we need, and attendance of these are very important, and I know things come up. Hate to call Alan out, but I haven't seen Alan for 2 or 3 meetings, so I need to reach out to him. But it's important to try to attend these meetings when at all possible and help us get to the finish line. This is a heavy lift for us. I just want to reiterate with the board makeup, I had a good conversation with Adrian about an hour before this meeting, and he acknowledged the city commission's decision to consolidate boards did us no favors in this endeavor. For example, I'll just quickly talk about the electrical code. We had a 5-person board. If that board was still in place, that 5-person board would be working directly with Justin as our liaison. And we would have more input, more detailed input from those 5 board members that have a specific knowledge and interest in that code. I recognize some of you online and in person don't have much to say on the electrical board or electrical code, and that will be much like the fire code when Warren has a lot of comments about that. So it's a unique experience for us. We appreciate your ability to be flexible. Matt and I are trying to figure this out as we go to see what the best way is. Maybe it wasn't a great idea to start with the electrical code to do that. But we did what we did, and we just want to acknowledge we do appreciate everyone's help on this. We will get to the finish line. Everyone here is smart and bright. And obviously, if you're on the board, you want to serve the public in this capacity. We will continue on. And that's pretty much all I have on that, Sarah Jane, just to remind everyone that it's really important to be as involved as much as you can as we tackle some of the bigger codes, the electrical, the IBC, the IRC, the energy code and so forth. So that's all my comments there.
Yeah, and I say no because I don't have experience with the board makeup prior to this, so you get good insight. Into
Okay,
that,
great.
So.
Well, thanks. We appreciate that. And yeah, some of us were around in the last cycle. So taking note of that, I would propose that we start at number 8 and move backwards so that the big lift of the electrical code we conquer last. So we can move through these other ones.
Yeah, Sarah Jane, actually, I can do 4 through 8 real quick because they're all grouped together. So what we did probably a month ago or so, Matt sent out these articles 13, 14, 17, 18, 19. I think we might have sent out the fuel, gas, mechanical.
We've sent more than this, yeah.
More than this. What I would like homework to be for the board prior to our next meeting is these are low hanging fruit. These are minor changes to these codes. You should see underlines or strike through. Underlines are new language, strike throughs are what I omitted. These are very simple. They're not long codes. Dangerous structure regulates how we deal with dangerous structures to the city. Demolition tells us how we demolish things. Contractor licensing and trade licensing are tied together. Contractor licensing, we've had what now over 15 plus years. There was some just terminology cleanup that I did. And the Building Code Board of Appeals is basically the bylaws written in ordinance form. There's a few things I've changed there. Going through all 5 of those should take you no longer than 30 minutes tops. It's pretty straightforward. Some of those ordinances are 1 or 2 pages long max. So what we would like to do next meeting is we would like to vote on Articles 13, 14, 17, 18, and 19 and get those out of our way. We would also, jumping ahead to the electrical code, what we really want to accomplish today is narrow down and narrow the gap even more than we did from last meeting today. From this meeting to next meeting, we would like to bring back the NEC in its final draft form to have a vote on it. That's our plan. But 13, 14, 17, 18, 19, we'd appreciate if you would review those. There's nothing earth shattering there that should have you question why we did it. But if there is a question, we'll talk about it at the next board meeting. But I think you can spend a relatively short period of time on those 5 and get those knocked out. We will also be bringing the fuel, gas, the plumbing, and the mechanical codes soon after that. Once again, those are minor amendments. A lot of those amendments have been carried over from our current 18 code. If we want to, we will do our best to identify that in the ordinance of why it was a carryover and what it does to educate everyone that's maybe not in the plumbing, the mechanical, and the fuel, gas. Okay, so does that make sense? So next meeting, the 5 that are on the agenda, we will bring to you for voting on. We thought, as you remember, I asked the group, do we want to do them all at the end, or do we want to systematically knock them out? And it was pretty much unanimous to knock them out as they come available. So that's what we'll do. So any questions on that, I'm happy to answer them. Anybody online? Okay, we're done with 4 through 8. That was quick. All right.
Whoa.
Oh,
Number 7, Building Code Board of Appeals.
yes.
The only question I had, and shoot me down if you want, but there's nothing in that section that talks about timeliness, either on the part of the appellant or the part of the city. So let's say somebody wants to appeal a decision by a building inspector, code inspector. Do they have a time limit on, can I wait 5 years and then submit it? Or, I mean, there used to be a time limit.
I'll check on that and get back to you. Good question.
And then second, is there a time limit on the part of the city? I mean, if I'm holding up my project, there's never been a time limit on the part of the city.
Feel free.
Yeah,
That's helpful.
if you want to go through there real quick.
There used to be a time limit on the part of the appellant.
I thought there was a time limit on part of the city, like 30 days, if I can remember.
I don't think there ever has been.
Am I on the
Okay.
right ordinance here?
Yes.
Well, I don't know, this, yeah. It might be in the administration section of chapter 5, that's what I don't know. if it's- There is a time limit, Neil, I don't think it's
Okay.
in this code. Because I think this is more of telling you what your role is, if that makes sense.
Right.
I will get you the time limits, code
Okay.
sections.
There is a time limit and it is in the administrative portion.
Yeah, thank you,
Okay,
Adrian, for
okay.
confirming that. So it's just in a different
So-
location.
So it would be in chapter 1 of the building code.
Yes.
One administrative.
And while we're talking about that, we recodified our code
Mhm.
this year. If you're familiar with the building code, chapter 5, article 1 has now been broken into 4 articles. So article 1 now has article 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's administrative, general. Can you go there real quick, Matt, so everyone can see what I'm talking about? And we did not have any idea this was happening with the recodification. We just looked at the code one day and there it is. So if you see that on the left, you used to be building, chapter 5 was building and construction, article 1 was administration,
Mhm.
article 2 was the building code, article 3 was the residential code. With the recodification, and there was some really screwy section numbering in those codes.
Mhm.
It went like 5-104, and then we went 5- to 199, and then rather than going to 5-200, it went like 5- hyphen, comma, something, and they cleaned it up. So the new chapter 5, article 1 is now 4 articles. It's been broken down into administration, inspections, use and occupancy, general, administration, inspections, use and occupancy. It's all previously under article 1 until sometime late winter, early spring of this year. So Neil, I don't know if we want to spend much time on it right now.
No, it's not.
We'll move to
Don't
the
need to,
NEC, but there is time limits specified in the
Okay.
administration part under the appeal process. Okay, and I'll get that for you. I'll send you the.
Hey,
Awesome.
Brian, I have a question.
Yeah.
It makes absolutely no sense to move use and occupancy out of the building code. It's part of the building code.
Well, if you remember, Adrian, 1 through 4 is part of all the codes.
Right?
So it's just not for the building code.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
general administration, the inspections, for example, the administration covers the fuel, gas, the plumbing, the IBC, the RC. So we might have to make some additional changes to make sure that looks good. But yeah, that's why it's done that way.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Makes sense? Okay, thanks. Thanks for the question. You got one more.
I did have a question, Brian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
On the board term right there. Is the board term limits new?
no, they're not new.
Because I'm not sure that's been followed I'm not sure that's been followed in the past. So now that we've moved the boards to, you only have one mechanical contractor, one electrical contractor, instead of a group of 5 or 7, do you still want to put term limits in and have to, at the maximum every 6 years, look for a different contractor?
Great question. I'm very open to discuss that with the board when that comes time. I would appreciate some feedback and something to think about for comment next meeting. I think, excuse me, I think we have to have term limits. I don't think we can't have no sunset on that. So maybe we look at extending those term limits. I'm open for the discussion on that. So yeah, good thought. Haven't thought about that until you asked it, so I don't know exactly where I land on it right now, but you're looking from a consistency standpoint, right?
Correct, since there's only one of each instead of multiple people
Where they
for
usually-
each defined position.
No, that's a great point. Well, Matt and I will talk about that and get our opinion ready for next week, next month's, next 3 discussion. And go ahead, Adrian.
Excuse me, Brian. Is it under the purview of this board to make a recommendation to go back to multiple boards, or is that strictly city commission and mayor type thing? Because
I think it's under your purview to at least make an official recommendation as part of a meeting. And then we can take that information and share it with others. I will give you guys a little background on this. I don't know if I've shared this. There was a consolidation of many boards had a sunset and they went away. Then there was boards that got consolidated with other boards. Originally, the plan was to consolidate the Building Code Board of Appeals with the Board of Zoning Appeals and make it one 7-person board. That didn't set well with me, so I convinced that was a terrible decision because I was hearing BCBA members that wanted no part of this. This is a board that has a technical experience that you get through work experience in education, unlike other boards that can learn stuff. We'd be at a huge disadvantage. So I fought like heck to get this board to stay. So, I mean, if the board wishes to pursue that, Adrian, we can definitely take that and see what the path of travel is for that. I can tell you though, I don't know how big of a hill that will be to climb, but we definitely would support what you guys want us to do with it. Obviously, the board would take a vote on it and go from there. Other than that, I really can't give you a crystal ball outlook of how that would look or what the outcome would be. But
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've been, as you know, Brian, I've been a strong opponent of this board being consolidated because of the exact items you raised. That it's highly technical, and you're on this board for experience and education and certification. So like we're discussing the electrical code right now. In the last board makeup, we had 2 engineers, and then we had code officials, and I keep saying excuse me, but we had code officials, engineers, and tradesmen, and the tradesmen, and we had contractors, not tradesmen. We had a tradesmen and contractors, and those boards could deal with highly technical information, and now it's down to I'm representing the citizen at large, but we have Laura that's an engineer, electrical engineer, and I don't know if we have electrical contractor as part of this particular, do we?
JJ is the electrical contractor with Good Energy.
Okay, so we have that, and they were able to look at items in the electrical code in depth, and it took 6 months at least to come up with the amendments for that, and so I just am a strong opponent of the way the boards have been reconfigured. And Brian, and I absolutely know that you were too, but I just wanted, I don't know how much that was thought out at the commission and level. And I know you did fight extremely hard to get that. And I just wanted to know if it was, if the commission and the mayor could hear our opinion on that again from the whole board, not just you.
I think what should happen, Adrian, I'm not directing you to do this. This is how I would see it play out. I think if you can gather support from the board members and you make an official vote on it, that you would signed off by the board, have a letter of support for reviewing that would then could be submitted to city manager's office and shared with the city commission as they see fit, because we got double whammy. We got skip 21 and then we got the new board makeup. And let me just say this, everyone here, I know everyone here is very qualified.
Yes.
The problem is you don't have that individual core group of people that can tackle the code as a group with the staff liaison where, it's unfair for to have Kevin commenting on plumbing or something like that, not plumbing,
Well, that's mine, but yeah, on electrical.
on electrical.
Call me anywhere near that.
I hope you can comment on plumbing.
Oh, yeah.
You threw me a curveball there.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
You can see the.
I know what Kevin does. But electrical, for example, so, I can't say I forecasted this would happen, but the problems I'm seeing is kind of what I envisioned possibly happening because it's a brand new makeup. We've never done it this way since code adoption, right, Bobby? In your history? We always had the individual trade boards, right?
I was thinking the last cycle we had a combined board.
No, this
No.
happened, this combined board happened right around the pandemic time. 2021, somewhere around there.
We opposed it too at the city commission.
Well, I think this is a great exercise in the code review to see how things are going, and I think that could make a great reason to do something differently. So Adrian, it sounds like you're going to take the lead on that.
Yes, I certainly will. This electrical code, I forwarded Matt and Brian a list of the NFPA technical committee, and it's literally it's an army of engineers, tradespeople, manufacturers that went into the development of this code, and to be appointed to the technical committee of NFPA. I mean, these are industry leaders; they're at the top of their game, and everything like that. So a lot went into development of this code, and the City of Lawrence Building Code Board of Appeals, we can review this, but it's a highly technical code. I mean, I bought the 2023 spent about $100 on it, and I read through it as much as I could stay asleep each time, stay awake each time reading through it, and I'm gonna do that, Brian, and that is an excellent suggestion, and I'll lead that effort through that.
You know this, Adrian, being a city employee, sometimes, and this is maybe my opinion, but I think some of it's factual. I can say something as a city employee, but sometimes it holds a different value when a group of 11 people of a building code board of appeals submits something in writing. It tends to hit a little bit harder than me. It's just Brian whining again about something, not getting his way or something like that. But if the board does it can hit differently. So just keep that in mind. It's totally your guys' option. I'm just giving you the path of travel that I think would be appropriate if you so wish to do that.
And I'll reach out to designers and home builders and everybody else to get to sign off on that to submit.
Adrian, as you know, this is Laura Blanchard. I was on the mechanical board for years and years. One of the problems we had was finding, I agree, it should be broken apart further than this. Well, we had trouble finding people to volunteer their time to those boards. And so maybe if we did a smaller combine, like you could keep MEP together, because I do all MEP and all those mechanicals deals with electrical, we could combine it in some of those ways.
Yes.
Residential, I think there's ways we could combine some of them, just not this large.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Laura. Absolutely.
That's a great point, Laura. I think that would be in your proposal when you give an idea of how you envision it working the best without going previously. Maybe there's a balancing act somewhere in between what we have now and what we had before. Kind of got off topic, but good topic to say the least. So that's where we're at. I think Sarah Jane, we're ready for the NEC.
Okay, so if there's any other comments on the other articles that we will be discussing at the next meeting, you want them not group reply, but simply the suggestions or comments and questions emailed to Brian and Matt?
Correct.
Yes. We can do that anytime individually to us and that works for us for total compliance with.
Ahead of time's great, because then we can hammer out some of the perhaps minor questions or clarifications before the official meeting.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to me and Brian. Sarah Jane,
Okay,
thanks.
so those other articles are the homework going forward now.
Correct.
All right, well, I guess we are ready for electrical. Brian, do you want to start this, or JJ, do you want to? I think we talked a lot about the arc fault last time, so maybe if JJ could give a
Hey, Sarah
summary
Jane,
of that.
I think before JJ goes, I think Matt just gives a summary of where we're at real quick and what you sent out on this document. And
Yeah,
then-
this is the most recent, and Justin, thanks for doing this sort of color-coded legend on the actual ordinance. But I think the goal today would be to walk away for the city, for us, for BSD to walk away understanding precisely what the board would recommend in terms of amendments or not, depending on how you look at it. I think the majority of that discussion will center on the arc faults, but I know that there's some conversation on the GFCI. Bobby, I did not include your letter in the agenda, but we can certainly bring it up. I can, and certainly you can speak to it, but I can speak to what Lawrence Home Builders would request in terms of the ordinance. And then if we could walk away with a clear understanding of what the board would like included or not in this ordinance, we then, Sarah Jane, would issue a final draft, as we're going to call it, for potential vote at the next meeting.
Okay. For the record, the letter from the home builders, was that the same letter that was shared last time that would be
No.
included in the meeting minutes, or is this a new letter?
There's a new letter that we got last week or the week before from Bobby.
I think realistically, we're probably gonna go past next meeting for a vote, so I'm good with that. So then let's try shoot 6 weeks from now, probably. Let's shoot for that, 6 weeks. That gives us a month and a half. Matt, we'll get the letter to the group about their position. You might want to just hit the highlights of it.
Yeah, and Bobby, fill this in if you think I'm overgeneralizing, but Lawrence Home Builders would recommend maintaining the current status of this ordinance and only require AFCIs in bedrooms. And then they would like to allow the side mounted receptacles on kitchen islands.
That's generally,
Generally, sure,
Generally.
right? And I'll send the letter to everybody also. That's the home builder's position. Is it easier or better if Adrian then, and Laura, thank you for giving me your input also on the NEC. It might be easiest if Adrian and JJ discuss their positions, and then we walk away with a list of what we need to, I'm saying add back in. I'm referring specifically to the AFCIs, but that might be the way to start. Either JJ or Adrian.
Okay, if I could, oh, I like to kind of make a general statement
Yep.
about
Hey, Justin.
this process with the NEC. You know, we have a 11-member board, right? And then that's going to take 11 votes. 11, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, so I've been communicating with staff, and Laura has through email, and we voiced our opinions and concerns about it. but the board is going to have to vote on this. And uh, my concern to this point is that the board has not, and this has been a little bit critical of staff, the board has not been presented with information on these amendments to vote on and the reasoning behind. And I understand that some of the amendments are carryovers, but the board is going to have to vote on these amendments, even the carryover amendments. And I think it's critical that we know as a board what we're voting on and why, because this is a life safety code. This is not, so say for instance, there's a carryover amendment. I remember being on the electrical board previously. I remember some of these reasoning for these amendments, and I think I'm uniquely aware of that, and not the board members. So, if we want to add an outlet for each garage door, and that's a carryover, the board should know that that's what the amendment is for, and either keep it or do away with it. And so we have not been provided to this point, and I've been requesting the reasoning behind each of these amendments, each of the proposed amendments, or not. If it's a life safety issue, if it's cost to the contractor, then the board can understand those, even though there may not be uniquely qualified to review electrical requirements of the code as Laura probably most is able to do, but they can make a decision. And the board has not been presented with this information. It's just like this letter that we just brought up from the home builders. That was not presented. That should have been presented to the board prior to the meeting, so we can review it and that sort of thing. But my whole concern is that the board in general, as opposed, I don't think it should be a conversation between a couple of members of the board and then city staff. The board should be privy to all those conversations and all of that information, just like I presented city staff with a makeup of the technical committee for the NFPA. I don't know if that was shared, as I asked, with the rest of the board. Was that shared with the rest of the board? Matt?
I don't believe so. What you
Okay.
sent, I think, last month, that long
Yeah.
document, it was not, no.
Okay. Well, and that addressed there was a comment by one of the board member staff that maybe the code changes were led by manufacturers, and the makeup of the technical committee, they specifically addressed that manufacturers were supposed to be 1/10 of the technical committee. And so that would have addressed that, and I would have liked to have seen that presented to the board. So even though the board in general is not associated with the electrical portion of the code, I think they still should have input and be aware of those provisions. So
So Adrian, maybe I can sum this up for you. So moving forward, you'd like to hear from the different expertise people in each of these parts of the code, and the explanations in our discussion or in pre-meeting notes of why, or the history of why not, these pieces are in the code.
Yes,
So what I'm suggesting now moving forward, because we've got about 15 minutes in our regular meeting, is that we start with this printout that we did get with the different proposed amendments highlighted. And it looks like it starts on the residential side, correct, Laura?
Yes, it does.
So if JJ wants to discuss part of the residential side and why those pieces are in and out, and then if Laura wants to take the commercial side, then we can move through this packet so we can get the history from those board members that proposed the different amendments or exclusions.
Yeah, that's right. And sorry about that. My wife is not here to give me the cut signal.
So JJ, do you want to start down there with, where we start in the basement is a story that's not a story above grade?
Yeah, that one I believe Justin put in, so he might be able to explain that one a little better.
Well, and it says,
Sarah Jane, if I can interrupt real quick, so I appreciate Adrian's comments. So what I suggest is we go through here until 4. Next meeting, we will attach the Lawrence Home Builders letter and anything that Adrian has to the agenda. We will go through the ordinance and clean it up with comments to the side. When if there's a carryover, we'll go into a little bit more further explanation. And we will have comments on anything that is suggested to be added or struck out. And we'll make this ordinance document more detailed, okay?
Yep, and then give it to us in advance so we can study it and review it, and not just at the meeting.
Correct.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right, so as far as this amendment here, this was left in, these are just definitions that we added to the code. And I believe the reasoning behind that is because the code language in other parts, right, references stories and basements. For some reason, NEC added a bunch of new definitions, and this basement and story is still not defined in the NEC, so I submitted that we left it in, right? This did not appear on either of Adrian and I believe Laura was in full agreement with Adrian's proposed amendments. But neither did it appear on JJ's amendments. I don't think they're concerned about it, but I don't think this is, an overly concerning.
Yeah, I think this one's really at the bottom of the chain.
Yeah, that was for clarity.
Yeah,
Right.
it just clarifies it. The next one, and by the way, I was encouraged with this document because I feel like we're all in agreement on a whole lot, and I think we can get here pretty quick. The next amendment I think is also a really small, not very significant propose, is the identifying of the grounded conductor, and by the use of white tape. And basically I'm proposing that we amend it to say conductor size 8 gauge and larger can be identified with white tape. And my reasoning for that is that this is like already a general thing that I see all the time in the field.
So this is
I see people doing this as a regular practice when the code says it's only 4 and larger. I see it in every commercial, residential, all over every jurisdiction I do. People seem to just practice this, even though technically it's not spelled out that way. And I don't see any safety issues with it, because we're all professionals and we're all. And I think the reason people do it is because it's really hard to keep that many colors on the larger size wires.
I agree. Commercially, it's done all the time too. I don't think there's an issue with that.
Yeah. So I just see it in practice a lot already, but I've known that it is not written that way. So I just wanted to put that in there, and I don't see any issues with safety personally with that. I just think it would be good to clarify that we're saying that's okay, because I see it practiced everywhere.
Well, I would be opposed to that because it's in the electrical code, and that may be a practice, but it's identifying conductors, and I don't know why the NFPA would identify that as an issue, and I don't know why the NFPA board would not have amended that. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think it's I agree with you. I don't think it's a life safety issue, but if somebody comes to Lawrence, if an electrical contractor or engineers want to design, and they come to Lawrence and it's something different from the electrical code, then that may be an issue.
I'll tell you, on the commercial side, my specs aren't going to change for something like this. That's not going to make it more stringent. So this is making it more relaxed. So typically it wouldn't change in engineering or a commercial building.
So Laura, you would design by the code and not practice.
Unless it's more stringent, I don't go by the cities all over the country that I work in. I don't go by their ordinances unless it's more stringent than the code.
Okay. So your recommendation would be to accept this amendment?
I don't see that there's an issue with it not accepting it. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll follow your lead on that.
Okay, bear with me, I am. And the next one that I see, and anybody can stop me if because I'm looking on this on another screen. But I believe we're down to the dwelling units for and I think we're all in agreement here. I think we're all like trying to word it a little different though. So this would be A of 210.8, I believe. Am I saying that right?
Yep.
Yep.
So we all agree to cross out 150 volts or less, I believe is what I'm reading.
Yep.
But then we're crossing out rated to ground as well.
Yeah.
So hold on a second. 100, what is the reason behind that?
So I can tell you that the green, which is my proposed amendments, was just for clarity of the code, so that it read more smoothly, right? In both of them, I'll say in all of the other forms, my original amendments included that code language I had left in, and it didn't read very well, right? It made it hard to read. So I left that in there, right? It's my understanding that, Laura and Adrian, were okay with leaving in the amendment for 150 volts or less, right? And then JJ also wants to get rid of the requirement for 250 volt.
So what that means to everyone else is your dryer receptacles doesn't have to be GFCI. Anything 240 volts doesn't have to be GFCI. All the other 120 volt receptacles in kitchens, bathrooms, unfinished basements, those still have to be GFCI. So that's pretty standard. We're just not making it for the 240 volts.
Can we pull up the language as we discuss it?
Well, I mean, the language is here in front of you.
Oh, go make sure that it's sharing, Justin. Go to
It's
Zoom.
not sharing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I was under the impression it was
Share on
sharing.
the bottom.
I was too.
Click on Laura Blanchard. Just click it so it's the whole screen. Go up. Nope.
Oh,
See,
this
there
one.
you go. And then hit share.
This is why you should be driving. So, yeah, so this is the code language as it's written. So here, for those of you at home, this green is mine. The pink is for what we agree on as a group. This includes Laura, Adrian, and JJ. And blue is JJ's recommendations, and red would be Adrian and Laura's recommendations if they appear in here. So basically what we're talking about is that we both agreed that the 150 volts or less should be omitted. JJ's trying to add the 50 volt amendment in addition to the 150 volts or less.
I think you said that backwards.
Well, maybe someone else should.
So 120, 150 or less to ground, your regular wall receptacles in the kitchen would have GFCI. The 240 volts receptacles for bigger equipment would not. Is that correct?
That's correct. Thank you, Laura. Yes.
So when we're saying bathrooms, garages, all outdoors, these are all standards, crawl spaces. We do need to add unfinished basements. I don't think all basements need to have it, just unfinished basements. Kitchens.
Yes.
The rest of those are pretty standard. Laundry areas, I don't think you need to have them in. I agree with that. You should take that out.
So far, you agree with everything that we're seeing on the screen?
Yes.
I agree.
Okay.
Yes.
So I do have a question about the garages at ground level. Based on the newer refrigerators, freezers, air conditioners, that have the variable speed, variable run compressors, they from the manufacturer cannot be put on a GFCI. So
Yes.
although your garage, unconditioned, is not the ideal place to put your deep freeze or a garage fridge, the manufacturer's devices will not work in that space if all outlets are GFCI protected.
And I believe
There's an
that's the
exception.
exception there, that we're saying we're allowing them to be on a single receptacle for refrigerators, refrigerators, all these right here in the pink, which is what we're all in agreement on. We're allowing for that single receptacle and to be non-GFCI protected.
And the home builders might have to specify an outlet out in the garage that's not GFCI specifically for a freezer or refrigerator. If
Okay.
that's, yeah, unfortunately, that's the way we're gonna have to do that.
Yeah, so in practicality, because I see this across all the other jurisdictions, and this is just something that came to me, like like in Johnson County, the only thing that we're required to do is they have the same amendment, but we are required to print on their non-GFCI protected outlet.
So my freezer in my garage will need to be on a dedicated outlet.
No, it doesn't have to be dedicated. It just has to be a single receptacle
Okay.
so that you cannot plug something else in. It doesn't need to be dedicated. And I used this example recently at my work, and you could have, say you had 3 refrigerators in your garage. They only draw 1.5 amps each. They barely draw anything, these refrigerators. You could conceivably, and you could even say that, hey, I need a general purpose receptacle. You could wire it so that each refrigerator had a single receptacle for that refrigerator that is non-GFCI protected. And on the same circuit, you could supply a GFCI for general use that's not directly behind the refrigerator. You know, the single receptacle should be behind the refrigerator, and it should only have that one thing plugged into it, and it should be labeled not GFCI protected.
Okay.
And I don't think that the intent is to require a dedicated circuit, because for refrigerators they draw very, very small amperage.
And I agree with that with JJ. It's just gonna make it more complicated for homeowners to understand where to put their refrigerators in the garage, but there's really no good solution.
Freezer, same amp draw.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're all under usually 5 amps.
Okay.
In general. I've never seen a refrigerator more than that, unless you get into commercial something, it's
Okay.
usually, in my experience, 1 to 3 amps in general, maybe a little more depending on some of them, but that's what Sarah Jane might be able to correct me if I'm wrong on that, but that's what I usually see.
I've got 2 large freezers and a refrigerator going in my garage right now with no problem.
Yeah, it's generally just the GFCI that is the issue for their, the type of equipment that is used inside those refrigerators.
Yeah.
Laura, I was going to say, wow, that's a lot, but I forgot you got teenage boys.
And I'm a farm girl that raises cows.
Yeah.
Nowhere to get the meat. Laura's
Exactly.
right.
So I feel like I think we're all in agreement on that then. Does that sound like we are?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are we in agreement
Yes.
that it doesn't need to be all basements, just the unfinished basements?
I believe so, because that's so confusing for kids, and it's just unfinished basements that we need to worry about water in, I think. That
Yes.
amount of water.
Okay. So bear with me. I'm gonna keep going. Then the next we have is the other than dwelling units.
Real quick, I'd say we tackle this and then we make a motion to adjourn to be respectful of everyone's time, because then we will meet 3 weeks with the hour and a half. And we'll pick up on this where we left off. Does that sound good?
Yeah. This one, we may just want to stop here is my suggestion, because
Okay.
I think this one might open up more discussion than we have time
Okay.
for.
Okay, well, let's make a note that we stopped at other than dwelling units. We'll carry this over to our next meeting in 3 weeks or so. And then we will attach the Lawrence Home Builders Association letter with any documents that Adrian submitted, and then we'll carry this conversation on. So I would recommend a motion and to adjourn in a second.
I've got one question really quick. If another board member approaches me with a question, just a clarification on this, is it okay to discuss that with them on a one-on-one? Can someone email me a question? I can answer it back? 'Cause
Yes,
Okay,
Laura, where it gets problematic if you and 5 other board members start having the discussion, because that
Okay.
would constitute a quorum, and then we get into some issues with Kansas Open Meetings Act.
okay. Well, everyone, I mean, you're welcome to ask questions to me, and I know JJ probably feels the same way. If you guys have questions on the electrical side.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. Any questions, please feel free to reach out.
But I would go so far to say that, you know, if you guys are sending JJ questions, that JJ, you keep the board members' questions to, you know, to yourself. Don't share those questions with other board members. Is that logical?
To keep unbiased, yeah.
Well, not unbiased. I just don't want someone to say, hey, well, JJ's been talking to Neil and, you know, and Warren and Laura, and that's a quorum, right? So I would just recommend keeping that kind of on a one-on-one or one-on-two kind of basis.
I agree with that. Yeah, yeah. I think that's all I've had so far is one-on-ones with anybody.
And then Brian and Matt, with the next set of notes, like these that were highlighted. So you said you're going to add in the reasoning or the notes to add
yes.
to or take away with this packet. And maybe if we're on a 3-week schedule, it could come out like a week after now. The next batch could come out for the next meeting.
Yeah, we
Kind of split that in the middle since we're moving a little faster.
Yeah, we need to be cognizant of timelines. Exactly. So what we'll do is we're going to mark up this ordinance even more than it is now. And we're going to make comments wherever there's discussion to remind everyone, like, for example, the previous code section, everyone that is in the know of the electrical is okay with how it's written. So we don't, you know, I'm getting older as everyone else is. We forget what we discuss. And carryovers, like Adrian mentioned earlier in the meeting, carryover simply means what we're proposing for 24 code is a carryover from the 18. And the 18, it could very well carry over from the 15. So there might be some code set, but we're going to explain what that carryover means and what the implications are to the best of our ability.
So
That
Brian,
sounds great.
Brian, am I understanding you're gonna share that just with the people that the board?
No,
we're gonna share with the entire board.
Of course, we're gonna share that
Okay,
to the
okay.
whole board. Yeah,
Okay.
that will be sent out as part of the part of the group. Yep,
Okay,
okay. Okay, I think we need have a motion from someone to adjourn this meeting and conclude.
Do we need to ask about public comment?
Oh, Mike, hit it. Yep, public comment
Are there any public comments?
in the room? None from the room, any online? No public comment online? Okay,
I'll move to adjourn.
okay.
Second.
Third.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks,
So-
everyone. See you in 3
Bro-
weeks.
Brian, how many board members do we have here of the 11 in this meeting?
Well, we got 5 here and 3 online. We got 8. Sean's missing, Alan's missing.
There's 4 online. I think we're just missing 2.
Okay,
Yeah, and Sarah Jane, for future reference, we probably ought to take a roll call at the beginning of the meeting that we missed today
All right,
for future meetings.
for video clarification.
Yeah. Adrian, do you have any questions about the minutes?
No, I don't. I'm cured.
Okay, we'll see everyone at next meeting. All right, thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.